Okay, so get this, right? Like, imagine packing a whole kayak, like the whole thing, in your suitcase.
Whoa, really?
I know, right? You wouldn't believe how small some of these things can get.
Wow.
Today, we are going deep, deep, deep into inflatable kayaks,
Ooh.
especially those West Marine Scout models. You know, the ones that we've been getting a ton of questions about.
Yeah.
So listeners, if you're thinking about picking one up or just curious about how they actually work, or you just, love being out on the water.
Yeah, who doesn't?
We're going to unpack all that and more.
Awesome.
Get ready for some surprises because these things are way more durable than you might think.
Right.
And they are super portable. And get this, there's even a model that's designed to perform like a rigid kayak.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. So, I used to think that kayaks were just for like hardcore outdoor enthusiasts,
Yeah, yeah.
But honestly, these inflatable kayaks, they just make it so much more accessible for everyone.
Definitely. It's what's so cool about them. They're really opening up kayaking to like so many more people.
Exactly.
You don't need a garage to store it or a fancy roof rack, know?
Right.
Because inflatables, they change all that.
It's true. And they're compact.
Super lightweight.
And I was looking on the West Marine website, the Scout. It only weighs like 20 to 30 pounds.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's lighter than my carry-on luggage when I travel.
That's incredible.
I know. So to put that into perspective, like a hard shell kayak can weigh twice as much. Easy.
Oh, yeah, at least.
Yeah, and that is a huge difference when you're like trying to carry it, from your car to the water, especially if you have to walk a distance, actually get to the water.
Yeah, you don't want to be hauling that around.
No. Mm-hmm. So, we're talking serious convenience here.
Huge.
But, I think a big question a lot of people have is, how durable are these things?
Right.
Are they tough enough to handle, like rocks and branches?
Right.
Or are we talking like pool toy territory?
Yeah, that's a question I get a lot. Like people, they think inflatable. They think, oh, it's going to pop.
Right.
But these are not your average inflatables.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the West Marine Scout models, they're made with this like heavy-duty PVC material, which is like really puncture resistant.
Okay.
Plus, they use welded seams instead of glue. So, that adds another level of strength and it makes them last a lot longer.
Welded seams. Okay, so I'm picturing like a super strong, like waterproof stitch. Is that am I on the right track?
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. It's like they melt the material together, so it's a really strong bond.
Okay, that's pretty impressive. But let's get to the on-the-water experience.
Right.
The basic West Marine Scout inflatable kayak. It looks perfect for like, casual paddling, but how does it actually perform?
Yeah.
Like, would you feel confident taking it out on a lake? Or even like a slow-moving river?
Oh, for sure. On calm waters, like you said, lakes, bays, gentle rivers, the Scout, it's great. It's really stable. It tracks decently. You'll have a really smooth, enjoyable paddling experience.
Okay, good to know. So maybe not whitewater rapids then.
Maybe not whitewater rapids.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it is durable, but you don't want to push it too far. And remember, even though they're really tough, inflatables need a little more care than hard shells.
Right.
Like you don't want to be dragging it over sharp rocks or anything that could cause a puncture.
Yeah, that makes sense. A little caution goes a long way. But, I bet some folks listening are wondering, if they have one of these, can they keep up with their friends who have those sleek, hard shell kayaks?
Right.
Is there an inflatable option for those who kind of crave a bit more speed and performance?
Yeah, and there is. That's where the West Marine Scout Advanced Frame Inflatable Kayak comes in.
Ooh.
Yeah, and this model, it's kind of designed to bridge the gap between that convenience of an inflatable that we've been talking about and the performance that you'd normally expect from a rigid kayak.
Okay, now we're talking. What makes this model so special?
Well, the key is the aluminum reinforced bow and stern. So that frame, it adds rigidity to the inflatable structure, which helps it track straight through the water.
Okay.
So basically, you're going to glide more efficiently and use less energy paddling.
Got it.
It also has a tracking fin, like a mini rudder, and that just helps it even more to stay on course.
So it's not just about feeling stable. It's about actually like cutting through the water with more precision.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty impressive for an inflatable.
Yeah.
But, gotta ask, can it really rival the performance of a hard shell? I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah, I get it. It sounds almost too good to be true. And honestly, like a top of the line hard shell, it's still going to have an edge when it comes to like pure speed and maneuverability.
Okay.
But the advanced frame Scout, it comes really close.
Okay.
And for a lot of paddlers, especially those who, like, convenience and portability are really important to them, this model really closes the gap.
So it's about finding the right fit for your needs.
Okay.
If you're like, a competitive racer, yeah, maybe stick with the hard shell.
Probably.
But for the rest of us, this inflatable sounds like a real contender. Now, you mentioned an aluminum frame, so I'm thinking, is it more complicated to set up than the basic Scout?
Not at all. Actually, one of the best things about this model is that it comes pre-assembled.
Oh, okay.
So you just unfold it, inflate the floor, and you are pretty much ready to hit the water.
Music to my ears. Quick and easy setup. What about comfort, though, especially for longer trips?
Yeah.
Does it have a decent seat? And maybe some storage?
Yes. You are in luck. It comes with a comfortable high back seat, and it even has some storage space for your gear or snacks or whatever you need.
Okay, storage space is a game changer. I'm no longer picturing myself balancing a cooler precariously on my lap.
What's that?
No more balancing acts for me, thank you very much. Now, I have to ask, you mentioned earlier people carrying these on their heads. Is that a real thing?
Yeah, it is. I know it sounds strange, but the shape of the advanced frame Scout, because of that frame, it actually makes it possible to carry it on your head.
Wow, that's a very unique carrying method. Is that common? I'm just picturing a sea of kayakers walking around with these things balanced on their heads.
Well, maybe not a sea of kayakers, but it's definitely a legitimate way to transport it.
Okay.
And, that frame, it provides support, so it's actually pretty balanced and easy to carry that way, especially if you have a long walk to the water.
So we've got two really impressive inflatable kayak options from West Green here, each with their own advantages. So for our listener who is now probably totally intrigued, what are some things they should consider when choosing between the basic Scout and the advanced frame?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What questions should they be asking themselves to find the perfect fit for their paddling adventures?
Well, it's not one size fits all, right?
Right.
It's about matching the right kayak to, your paddling style and the kind of adventures you're dreaming of.
Okay, so let's walk our listener through that decision-making process. What are some of the key questions they should be asking themselves? I mean, where do you even begin?
Well, first, think about where you're going to be paddling most often. Are you a lake person drawn to those calm, peaceful waters? Or are you more interested in exploring coastal areas, maybe venturing out into the ocean a bit? Oh. Or perhaps you're fascinated by, winding rivers and the challenge of navigating currents?
Yeah, because I'm thinking a kayak that's great for, a leisurely lake paddle might not be the best for tackling a river or dealing with those ocean swells.
Exactly. Different kayaks, they're designed for different environments, right?
Makes sense.
The whole design, that's the shape of the kayak's bottom, that plays a big role in how it handles, in different water conditions.
Okay.
A kayak with a flatter hull, that might be more stable on calm water. But one with a more V-shaped hull, that's going to cut through waves more efficiently.
So hull design is something to pay attention to. It's not just about looks. It's about, functionality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you want to think about how far you typically paddle,
Okay. Yeah.
Are you someone who just enjoys, those short, relaxing outings, just soaking in the scenery?
Right.
Or do you have those, grand plans for longer expeditions,
Yeah.
Maybe even overnight trips with camping gear and all that?
Yeah. Distance definitely plays a role, especially when you're thinking about comfort and storage.
For sure.
You don't want to be, cramped and uncomfortable, especially if you're going to be out on the water for hours.
Right. You got to think about that. And if you're planning those longer trips, having enough storage space, that becomes crucial.
Yeah.
You need room for gear, supplies, maybe even a cooler for snacks and drinks.
Nobody wants to be juggling a picnic basket while they're trying to paddle.
Exactly. And let's not forget how you're going to be transporting the kayak to and from the water, right?
Right.
If you've got a smaller car or limited storage space, portability, that's a big deal.
I'm already picturing myself trying to strap a 10-foot hardshell kayak to the roof of my compact car. Is that a pretty picture?
Yeah, I can imagine. That's a perfect example of why inflatables are so great.
Yeah.
They're compact, easy to transport.
Throw it in the trunk.
Yep, throw it in the trunk, check it as luggage on a flight,
Wait, check it as luggage. You're telling me I can take an inflatable kayak on vacation with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now you're opening up a whole new world of possibilities.
Exactly, that's the beauty of them.
Explore waterways all over the world without the hassle of, trying to figure out how to transport a giant hardshell kayak. Okay, so we've talked about the importance of considering the paddling environment, the distances you'll be covering, storage needs, and transportation. What other factors come into play when making this decision?
Yeah, well, budget's another big one. Inflatable kayaks, they're generally more affordable than hard shells.
That's definitely a plus.
And even within inflatable kayaks, there's a range of prices. It depends on the features, the materials, all that.
So it's about finding that balance between your budget and, I guess, your desired level of, like, quality and features.
Exactly, yeah. And, don't forget to factor in the cost of accessories.
Oh, why?
Paddles, a pump, a life jacket, maybe a dry bag to keep your valuables safe.
Good point. Those extras can definitely add up.
Yeah, for sure. And one last thing to consider is your level of experience with kayaks.
Okay.
If you're a complete beginner, you might want to start with something more stable,
Right.
user-friendly, something designed for, recreational paddling.
Yeah.
And then as you gain experience and confidence, you can explore other models.
So don't jump into the most advanced kayak right away.
Right.
Choose a model that matches your skill level. And you can progress at your own pace.
Yeah, it's like learning any new skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't just hop on a surfboard and expect to ride a giant wave on your first try.
Right.
Start with the basics, get comfortable, and then see where it takes you.
That's great advice. And honestly, it applies to so many things in life, not just kayaking. But let's bring it back to our deep dive here. We've talked about, how incredibly convenient and portable inflatable kayaks are.
Yeah.
The different West Marine Scout models, all the factors to keep in mind when you're choosing the right one. What stands out to you as the most exciting thing about inflatable kayaks?
What I think is so cool is how they've really made kayaking accessible to almost anyone.
Yeah.
People who maybe wouldn't have the space for a hard shell or the budget, or even the strength to handle one.
It's true. It's like they've opened up a whole new world of adventure. You don't need a fancy roof rack or a garage full of gear to enjoy being out on the water.
Exactly.
You just throw it in your car, head to your favorite spot, and escape.
And it's not just about that, the easy transport and all that.
Right.
They're durable. They perform well, especially those models like that West Marine Scout Advanced frame.
Right, with all those cool design features.
Exactly. It's amazing how far the technology has come.
It really is.
And that's what makes this so interesting, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about some novelty thing.
Right.
This is a serious piece of equipment.
Yeah.
That opens up so many possibilities.
So it's not a compromise, it's a choice. A choice with a lot of advantages.
Exactly. And that's what I hope people take away from this.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate inflatable kayaks.
I love it. Now, as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a thought.
Yeah.
Now that you've heard all about inflatable kayaks, what kind of adventure are you picturing? Are you paddling across a quiet lake at sunset? Exploring hidden coves along the coast? Or maybe tackling a river with confidence?
Ooh, those all sound amazing.
Right. And with an inflatable kayak, those adventures are within reach. So get out there, explore the water, embrace the freedom. And hey, if you see someone paddling with a kayak balanced perfectly on their head, snap a picture. We'd love to see it. Happy paddling to everyone.